Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, another day in the green. Yesterday, during regular trading, the post-inauguration rally continued, and all three major indices closed in the green. The Dow picked up 130 points, or 0.3%. The S&P 500 advanced 37 points, or 0.61%. The Nasdaq jumped 252 points, or more than 1.25%. Bill, let's get into Thursday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're actually trading lower. We're down 0.16%. The weakness is really due to, some softness that we're seeing in the semiconductor sector. And then that Stargate project. I mean, markets are questioning the numbers. I mean, do they really have the ability to push forward those numbers? And of course, the timing of when this project will take off. Because if it's short term, hey, it's great, but it could be very long term for it to really get off the ground. So the markets are questioning that Stargate project, and that's causing some weakness in the sector that benefited the most when it was announced. The key event today, hey, it's going to be President Trump's speech at Davos, that Davos summit that's going on in Switzerland. Trump is scheduled to speak today at 11 a.m. There's going to be a Q&A session afterwards. You got a lot of financial leaders there. They're going to be asking some real questions, and Trump's going to have to be talking off his back heels, so he could be saying something crazy. So we want to keep tuned for that, because that could cause a real directional change in the markets when he starts to speak, and of course the Q&A session. Last night he was interviewed on a broadcast TV station. The focus was really on former President Biden, FEMA, nothing that was really market related. It was really a softball interview. Central bank meetings are on watch. You got the BOJ. That decision's coming, tonight, tomorrow morning, overnight. We're going to get some news on the BOJ. The Bank of Japan is expected to kind of raise interest rates, at this meeting. We'll have to wait and see if that comes in. But next week, on the 29th, we get the FOMC announcement. And then on the 30th, we get the ECB announcement. So, central banks are really going to be key focus over the next week. On the earnings front, hey, we got beats from Alaska, Discover, GE, McCormick. So, that's all positive. We're taking a look at the global markets. The DAX in Germany is up 0.29%, or 61 points. The FTSE, in turn, from it was negative, is now higher by 12 points, or 0.14%. The CAC is up 32 points, or 0.41%. They had a lot of corporate earnings, and they are moving over some, off of that news out of China. Let's talk about Asia for a second, because Asia was mixed to higher. I mean, you had the Nikkei jumped 312 points, or 0.79%. The key, in Japan, there was positive economic data that came out, but really it's waiting for that outcome of that BOJ meeting. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 78 points. They're kind of looking at the sluggish the Chinese economy. But the Shanghai in China, I mean, it actually rose, 0.5%, 0.51%. The thing about China is, they came out with some economic, news, let's say. Essentially, government officials are intensifying their efforts to support the struggling equity markets. They put in new mandates that require mutual funds to increase their investment in domestic economies in domestic equities by at least 10% annually over the next 3 years. They're also calling for insurance funds to direct 30% of their new premium income into the stock market starting this year. I mean, these are things that are going to get people that's those stock prices moving a little higher, because there's going to be money flowing in. So, that actually was a benefit to the Chinese market. Then we're taking a look at oil this morning. Oil was trading, slightly lower, but it has turned. It is now higher. We got WTI at $75.66 a barrel. You got Brent crude at $79.25 a barrel. That's up about 0.3% from yesterday. So yeah, really the key focus is on the API stockpiles reports. Remember, it showed a $1 million barrel build in inventories, but those then there are news reports that several Texas ports have begun resuming operations on Wednesday after that winter storm. But we're keeping an eye on oil because oil is a catalyst for the markets, and that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, amongst that sort of main catalyst, as you mentioned, Trump speaking at Davos today, are those other catalysts that you've given us an overview of? And we're going to get to some of the nitty gritty here throughout the show, diving into the details. And again, the new presidential administration and Trump are really galvanizing headlines at this time, but that doesn't mean that there's other information that isn't worth taking a look at and following along so that you're able to take opportunities in the market as you see them. One of those areas is earnings action. You gave us a little preview of some of the beats that came out. One of them was your pick of the day. So let's start with earnings action. Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching there.
Start off with Discover Financial, that's ticker DFS, David, Frank, Sam. These guys delivered a beat of $1.54 on higher revenue. You look at the stock this morning, it's up, 0.76%. It still has room to move higher. Then you got Alaska Air, ticker ALK, Apple Air Kilo. They beat by 50 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. Alaska Air is up 2% this morning. We got American Airlines, ticker AAL, AAL, Apple Larry. They beat by 20 cents on higher revenue, but the guidance is an issue here. You look at shares of American Airlines; they're down 7.5% this morning. GE Aerospace, ticker GE, John Edward. Hey, they beat by 28 cents. They did it on higher revenue, and there's more good news too. That stock is up over 8% this morning. And then you got that, after the bell today, you got Texas Instruments. That's TXN, Tom, X-Ray, Nancy. Their EPS is $1.19. Expect move is 5.81%. And also after the bell today, we have Intuitive Surgical. That's ticker ISRG, India, Sam, Richard Grace. Their EPS is $1.76, and the expected move here is 5.17%. So yeah, we got a lot of good earnings still to come, and there's more tomorrow morning as well, Emily.
Keeping an eye on those using your NewsWare and your earnings alert. I will make a note here that Alaska Air was your pick of the day yesterday, and we will check in with you by the end of the show on how that went. Now to economic events, a number of reports to be keeping track of today, along with, we mentioned those comments from Trump at Davos. So, Bill, give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
8:30 a.m., you got jobless claims. 11 a.m., Kansas City Fed Manufacturing Index. Noon, EIA oil stockpile figures. Trump speaking at 11 at Davos. After his speech, there's going to be a Q&A session. In terms of the jobless claims, the market's looking for, claims to come in about 221K, slightly higher than last week's 217K figure. Now, the 4-week moving average for initial claims, stands at 212,750. So this would be above the 4-week moving average. But, this is kind of a key report because, it's the last one before the FOMC meeting, which is scheduled for, the 28th and 29th of this month. So that's the key one for the market today is really the jobless claims, but the key economic event is really going to be that 11 a.m. speech by Trump at Davos, Emily.
And those comments, Bill, you'll be able to gather, though, as they happen in real time using your NewsWare. As you mentioned, it's not just the prepared comments, but the Q&A session afterwards, where we can't necessarily anticipate what's going to happen, but you'll be able to see that information in real time. The other types of information that you see in real time are things like guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, catalyst calls. You also look at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks, to really catch any major headlines coming out of those corporations. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 15 higher, 14 lower. No. I got 16 higher and 14 lower. So, that's positive. You look at the FANG stocks. Amazon's a little weak, but everything else is trading a little higher. So that bodes well for the S&Ps. We'll have to wait and see. I do think Trump's speech is going to be the key catalyst event today. Talking Apple, we're talking Apple and Google. They're facing a probe by UK regulators over their, app stores. Yeah, that's going to continue. I mean, they are the dominant players. They have a dominance there, no question about it. Amazon catching some heat after closing a warehouse in Quebec. Saying it was, in retaliation of, saying it's anti-labor, whatever. Google, Samsung unveiled the Galaxy S25 phones with Gemini AI functionality. That's good for Google. Google is up, slightly this morning. Tesla, EU plans to potential subsidies to help electric vehicle sales. That's good for Tesla. That should help the stock show some gains today. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stock. We're talking Microsoft for a second because OpenAI wants to use competing data centers, because they really want more computing power for their artificial intelligence engine. Now, that's not okay with Microsoft. Microsoft wants all that business going to their cloud computing data centers. So, there's a little bit of an issue brewing there. Verizon, Victor Zebra releasing earnings tomorrow morning. Expected move is $1.55. AXP, American Express, they're going to be releasing tomorrow morning. Expected move is $13.12. What else do we have here? Let's look at guidance news. The American Airlines sees Q1 adjusted EPS, negative 20 cents to negative 40 cents. Street estimate had it at negative 6 cents. That's what's really ugly. McCormick sees full year, KC, they see full year adjusted EPS coming in $3.03 to $3.08. Street estimate was at $3.12. That's a downtick. GE Aerospace sees 2025 adjusted EPS coming in $5.10 to $5.45. Street estimate has it at $5.26. In the middle, very positive. In terms of shareholders meeting, I see Costco's scheduled to have their shareholders meeting today. Intuit, ticker INTU, India Nancy Tom Uncle, they're having their shareholders meeting today at 11 a.m. Air Products that's APD, Apple Paul David, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 8:30. And JBill, ticker JBL, John Boy Larry, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 10 a.m. In terms of buyback news, GE Aerospace, ticker GE, they said they're planning on buying back $7 billion worth of stock this year. Still subject to board approval, though, but it's apparently likely. In terms of catalyst calls, Blue Owl, ticker OWL, Oscar, William, Larry, Citibank is out there saying February 7th is their February 7th Investors Day is going to be, stock could have a positive catalyst move off of that Investors Day, something to keep an eye on. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go with American Express, AXP, Apple X-Ray Paul. Now the earnings are due out tomorrow before the opening bell. EPS is $3.02. Expected move is 4.07%. Look at yesterday's call volume, very positive. 24,590 versus 7,965. I mean, that's like 3-to-1. Like that. Got the call open interest, 124,054 calls versus 55,043. Very positive. Major brokers are positive on the stock. They're raising price targets, but some of the price targets are actually below where the stock price is. So I'm a little cautious about that. But the quarter looks good. They did, settle a claim, with the government for some aggressive sales tactics that they were doing. But I don't think that's going to be significant enough to really cause an issue for them. But here's the thing: it's about the price. It's about the entry point. Stocks trading, 324.5 to 325.5. It's a wide spread, but I want to get in at 320ish. I want to get in. I want to get in. Like $4 lower from where the stock price is right now. And I think that is, and I know that's really aggressive. I know that's really aggressive because stocks run into earnings. But I want to wait for my entry price because I think there could be a sell-off in the market when Trump starts speaking, because he's likely to talk about some, controversial topics at the summit today. And so the speech is going to be, teleconference. He's going to be on video. And that could cause some market weakness. And so I'm going to look for that opportunity to take a position in AXP, and I'm hopefully going to be able to get in with a little, on some downticks on AXP. But that's my pick of the day, ticker AXP, Apple X-Ray Paul, and I'm saying 320-ish, Emily.
American Express it is. Again, an earnings play with a specific entry price, but also sort of working around that news cycle with that Davos conference. So good thing you have your NewsWare, because you're going to be able to look for opportunities and keep track of all of that using your NewsWare. And we will check in with you in just a moment about yesterday's pick of the day, which was also an earnings play, as we pointed out. But before we get there, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Okay, what do we see here? WTW, they're launching IMI Plus for clients in the U.S., investment management insurance. AMRX, Apple Michael Richard X-Ray, they get FDA approval for one of their drugs. Uber Eats, UBER, Uber Eats with Wegmans to expand grocery delivery. Interesting. That's good. American Airlines commits to reducing total debt to below $35 billion by the year end 2027. Biogen, ticker BIIB, they got FDA and EMA acceptance for their application for a higher dose of Nucinin. Visa making a key investment in MoneyPoint. That's an African financial, function for payments. Costco, ticker COSD, facing a Teamsters strike on January 31st if a new labor agreement is not reached. Walmart, ticker WMT, boosting compensation for its regional store managers. VRTX, Victor Richard Tom X-Ray, they got a January 30th PDUFA date for their acute pain medicine. Datadog, ticker DDOG. I see Bank of America upgraded its focus list. They added Datadog and Booz Allen, BAH, Boy Apple Henry to the list, but they did remove Lilly, LLY. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off on this day, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day. I mentioned it earlier in the show, was Alaska Air. They did report earnings yesterday, as you told us. They reported a Q4 adjusted EPS of 97 cents. That was well ahead of estimates. As you mentioned, as much as a 50-cent beat there. Sales were $3.53 billion versus the estimates of $3.43 billion. In terms of a Q1 adjusted EPS for the company, they see a loss of 70 cents to a loss of 50 cents. The consensus here had been a loss of 75 cents, so actually better. They also see a Q1 capacity up 2.5% to up 2.3%. A decent report there, Bill. You were playing this one leading into earnings. You did tell us if you got a gain, you were going to take it. How did your call work out?
Worked out well. I mean, listen, I really had a measured entry price yesterday because I felt like the airlines could sell off a little bit, and they did. I mean, listen, the stock opened up at $69.90. That's $69.70. That was just too high, and I didn't want to get in there, so I just sat back and waited, and then the weakness hit that sector, and the stock actually fell down to $67.05. Listen, I got in $67.90, which is like, I was saying 68, 68.50. I got in at 67.90. But yesterday, after the announcement, the stock hit $70.29, and I got out at 69.50 for like a 2% gain, and I was very happy with that. You look at the stock this morning, and it's already hit $70.90. So there is still some positive action, but the sector is going to be under pressure because of that American Airlines earnings report. So you got to take that gain. And that's why I had to take the gain when I saw it, because, when the sector starts to move lower, even with the good earnings report, it's still worrisome. But you know what? Alaska Air, ticker ALK, was a winner yesterday. Very happy with the results, Emily.
A winner there, Bill. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's American Express pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week with NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.